right, Shalom Mashpaka. I want to thank you for coming. Well, like I said, it went something like this. Yep. So when I got inside of the courthouse, me and my wife, we got there and we found our way. We went in there, we sat down. I saw the courthouse. It looked the same as it does everywhere else. And excuse me, the way that the landlord filled out just the court order thing for you to come to court. The way that he filled it out is that he put it as if the only one that was supposed to be on the lease was my wife. And I'm not gonna get into who paid what and who did not, because me and my wife together, we work together to do our stuff, you know. But they know what they did. And so when you look on the lease, read between the lines. They wanted me to be quiet in the courtroom because if they wanted me to speak, they would have gave me the opportunity to be able to speak in court. And my wife at the presiding of the thing of them blaming everything on me, like the landlord putting everything off on me. They went ahead and ruled in his favor a forward time, and so it was like Gayate la Boca, and we're gonna say it in a nice way. Silencio por favor, senor. You know, and they ruled in his favor. Besides all the excremental evidence that was provided that was never even looked at, and so they ruled in his favor. And so that's just how it is. And I know a lot of people say, "Well, don't complain." It's not a complaint. It's the truth. You know what I mean? So I want to just say shalom to y'all that came in. That's not finna be the thing when I'm finna talk about today. I heard that Sister Naomi, somebody passed in your family, and I just wanted to come back up here and let you know, Sister. Uh, it ain't no words that can be said or expressed for what you're going through with. I remember when I lost my grandmother. People said kind things to me and they helped me. Uh, I don't know how they came up with the things that they said, you know. And so I just want to let you know that I've been praying for you, that y'all give you strength. I learned this. Never try to forget. Never try to forget the person that passed away. Always keep them in your memory. Always cherish the things that the person in your family, or for some of us, our friends, have spent time with you. Cherish those moments. Don't allow your cousin to be forgotten. Make sure to always represent your cousin. And for some of us, we want to, now I'm finna get off of that. For some of us, we want to be an example. And we have to learn how, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong or right. And sometimes when you're the person that the family is dependent upon for anything, encouragement, financial, or whatever it may be, uh, when you going through, a lot of times people gonna look at you as you're the one that's supposed to carry this because you could do it. And it's good that sometimes people look at a person like that and they say, oh, they got it. You know what I mean? But sometimes you have to look out for yourself, fam. Sometimes y'all got to look out for yourself. And I know that we are in a situation as a people where we're not really working together as a nation should. But I always have to remember and bring myself back to the point that there's been centuries of us being broken down so that we wouldn't be productive as we should be. So as I think back to Nebuchadnezzar, all the way down to Pontius Pilate and them oppressing us, our ancestors in our country, and it got so bad to the point where we had to leave our country because they was fighting in our country and destroyed the temple. We know that when we're looking at it in the carnal sense, we'll say, man, that was evil. And yeah, it was. And ain't nothing, no matter words or expressions, is ever going to change that. And believe me, I'm not in the business of trying to justify people. All what I'm saying is that we see how things is going. We see how it's been. And they say Messiah been gone and resurrected and ascended to the Father. And it's 2,000 years later. And for some of us that's still waiting on the government and waiting on the laws and waiting on lawyers, waiting on these food trucks and waiting on everybody else to plant gardens with us, to help us. In so many ways, a lot of people is not going to help you. You take the help that you can, but y'all, we got to learn how to work together. And if we don't work together, we see how it go. Not discounting the people of other nations that have stretched out their hands and have lifted up their voices, you know, but they're not the issue. The issue, is that we have been broken down. You know, anytime when your car's broke, you go to the dealership, or you may be a mechanic yourself, or you may go to a mechanic and you say, hey, look, my car broke. You don't just sit there and ride on flats. You don't sit there and ride with your transmission messed up. You go to the place and you try to get it fixed. And if you can fix it, you try to work on it yourself. Even if you live your whole life trying to fix your car while you trying to get another one, you still got to put in some type of effort. Y'all know that we've been broken down like a pope in these countries. But we have to make an effort to try to do right by one another. And I know a lot of us say, well, if we got to depend on one another, then we screwed. Hey, you might be right. But that still does not mean that we don't have a responsibility to do that. I heard a rap song, a rapper saying, F my bloodline, F my ethnicity, F the history, and all type of stuff, what they were saying. And mockingly talking about, and we know who they was talking about because it's easy to pick on. It's easy to pick on the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. It's easy to pick on the descendants of the slave trades in general. But it's hard to pick on somebody that hold all of the balls in their court. Even if they're going to do wicked to you, it's easy to fight against somebody that can't fight back. Like they say, it's easy to snatch candy from a baby. That's why they got an old saying, it's like taking candy out of a baby's mouth. But it's hard to fight against somebody that got the whole situation in their hand. They can move this way and that way. They could be unjust and say, yeah, I was wicked. But hey, It is what it is. We got the UN, we got the United States of America, 50 something states, officers and generals at our beck and call, and you Negroes can't even come together on a meeting. Ain't nobody studying y'all. We gonna do what we wanna do. We gonna run over y'all. And what y'all gonna do? We gonna mistreat y'all at a restaurant? Y'all ain't gonna come together and put money together and build your own restaurant. Some of us say, I'm waiting on the good LORD to come back, and it's gonna be a sweet by and by. We could just sit here and continue to complain and know that our history is tore up and messed up. Know that we in a bad situation. But it's better for us to try our best to build together than to try to destroy one another. And I know this gonna fall on deaf ears to some, and to some it's not. And to ones that it's not falling on deaf ears, let's stop fighting against the ones that's telling the truth. The truth is the truth. Like Monty say, the truth is the truth, even if it come out of the mouth of a baboon. And I told y'all before, family, we ain't no baboon. And if I'm lying, I'm flying. Like K. Judah say, and family, I can't fly. So fam, we need to work better with each other, and that way we can litigate a lot of these things that we going through with. But yeah, I'm not blaming my people. It is what it is. You know? Why would you blame a female? That's what a nation is symbolistic of in the Bible. Why would you blame this woman that done been taken advantage of? This woman that done been ran through by people that she didn't want to ran through her. You know? So that's how I see it. Our people is a nation. And whether we want to receive it or not, we're not going to fix anything by asking the very places that we are held captive that refuse to even acknowledge it with resources that what we did was wrong to y'all. Kamala said she's going to do it. Everybody going to benefit from it. Hey, she might have had a point. Everybody probably would have benefited from it. Yeah, she right. But they said we're not going to give y'all no reparation. They've been studying on that bill for how many years? And like they say, you know, if a man owed me money for 400 years, you know, I highly doubt that man gonna pay me back my money. So some of us want to wait on the person that's pay us back this money. It's up to you. Or what we can do is say whether they pay us back or not, we owe it to one another to help one another. That's not reparations, family. Helping your brother and sister. That's called brotherly love. So I'm finna drop this right here. Does anybody want to say anything about the situation? You want to talk about the court date? You got any questions for me? Because I didn't just go in there to vouch for myself. I actually went in there to try to vouch for everybody in this area and vouch for the people in the whole Florida. But it didn't go well. But there are other cases going on around in Florida. And if y'all willing, I will go in and try to reopen this right here. And hopefully fight for the people in Florida along with the other people that's vouching that, you know, that we at least have some type of grace, that, you know, the landlords can't just come in and jack up rent prices. And in Florida, of all places, Florida, where hurricanes hit year round, and the cheapest places to stay in Florida is by the water where the hurricanes hit because people don't want to pay that damage to their houses. So the hazardous areas are sometimes even put up at a higher rate. So you probably be better for some of y'all, unless they do something, the ones that's in charge of this country, unless they do something to fix the United States and make it a little bit more habitable. Shalom Solomon Project, unless they do something to make these places more habitable for us and not for money. You know, this place would be good for money to live in, but money ain't got no feelings. So I'm just saying, fam, unless they make this place more habitable for people to be able to live, I highly am against any of my people. I don't care how much money you got to come and stay in Florida. I'm telling you, you only get one life. Don't waste your life arguing and fighting with a crooked system. In every way that you can, I heard the elder saying this, that running his farm, try to keep the man out of your pocket. Fam, if you can, if you can't, help it. If you in Florida, I'm with you. I'm praying with you. You know, we weathering this storm. But unless you're willing to come down here to Florida uh, to defeat the dollar over the people, I don't think that Florida will be a good place for you. And that go for anybody. I do not think that Florida is a good place, and I'm going to say it the English way that they say it, for human beings to live. The only ones that can stay in Florida without worrying about uh, rental prices rising is the cockroach and the dog. The dog in the United States got more rights. So please do not try to argue with Mr. Poodle about this right here. Unless you come into Florida to fight against what happened in 1977, you wasting your money and you wasting your life. Do not, I repeat to my brother and sister, if I had the letter that Elder Martin Luther King had, the letter that they say, this ain't a good place to go. Yeah, Florida is rough, brother. They can raise your rent high as they want. If they want to raise your rent to $1 trillion, there's nobody in America that's in office except a certain few people that for some odd reason keep getting back in office, can do anything about it. They passed it, and so now I believe it's the Supreme Court. It's the only one that can, and I don't know what they doing. So just try to stay out of trouble, fam. Don't get in trouble to try to come over here and live. You know, don't do stuff that they say is against the law to try to pay your rent. It's better to live under a bridge, because if the Supreme Court can do something about Florida and they ain't did nothing about it yet, I'm telling you, you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to do what animals do, try to adapt to their surroundings and pick this up and pick this up in order to survive. They not gonna lock up. Listen to me, fam. They not gonna lock up a raccoon if he put some rock inside of your garbage can, but they'll lock you up for doing it. And if they lock him up, he a raccoon. They'll check him, see if he got rabies, I don't know. But I just know this right here. The animals have more rights. The animals have more rights. Now I heard that they say they got something going on where people can pay a certain amount of money. I believe they say $6,000 for any place. And so if you could come up with $6,000, I don't know if that's gonna work out, because that might be something else. because once you move into the place, I'm telling you, they can raise that rent up on you. And they got many ways to do it. If they'll do this to me, they might not do it to somebody that's European, I would believe. But hey, it's a lot of Europeans that's getting evicted that I see. So I'm just telling y'all, for all races, whether if you white or black, Florida is a place. My grandmother told me this before she passed. She said, baby, I know that black people came to Florida and it was once called, it was where the Seminoles and the Muskogee Creek people used to live. Where the Muskogee Creek offered us to come down here. And the Spanish sold the land off uh, to the United States after we won that battle. They sold it off in the Seminole Wars. And you want to go and visit Manatee, they have museum my brother was covering. I shared this video in Manatee County. You could go and look at the history of Florida. Yeah, it's a hot mess, bro. So, I don't know where else you can move. They say it's rough everywhere. It, you go somewhere, it's new levels, new devils. So, if you're going to leave Florida, I mean, you might as well sit still, you know. Unless you're looking for greener pastures, you might find something you ain't want to look for. So just do your research. And you might want to move to Africa, and I don't know about that, But hey, some people say they move to Africa, Jamaica. Do your research on anywhere you want to go before you just hop up and go. Don't just move to somewhere just because you don't like your situation. Do your research, study the place. Even though even though you do that, you might go over there and it might not be what you expected. So, you can't run in life. Sometimes you got to learn how to face your problems head on, you know. And so, like I said to y'all, it didn't go well in court. And the place that I purchased along with my wife, she was helping here and there where I started to lack it because they started jacking up the prices, you know. During that time, I paid off the place with my wife. And when we came to court, they, politely said, "Silencio, por favor." You know, be quiet, please. And siéntate. You know, they they said, "Cállate la boca," real nice. And they didn't look at no receipts. If they looked at it, they said that I marked something that I didn't mark. They didn't look at the receipts that I really did have. And to show that the months that they said that we didn't pay for, that was actually paid for. They said we didn't pay for months that we actually paid for. There were some months that we were going to visit family, that we paid double on the rent because we were going to visit family. And they said that we didn't pay for that either, even though we got the receipts. I look at the receipts every day and say, they always say, y'all didn't pay for this. To July, and in July, fam, there was a hurricane came through here, and a lot of people lost their life, injuries, and all that. And just look up the weather forecast that was going on in July. So look up the weather forecast that was going on the 7th month. Look at the weather forecast that was going on in the 8th month. And the computers was down, so we couldn't pay. We couldn't pay online. So we had to get a money order. And I'm not finna go out in the middle of I believe they said it was a category 15 storm one time and a 12. And they was coming back to back that month like El Nino, so storms was just busting. So we couldn't just, but there was a time, one of them months that they said that we owed, that I remember pressing my way down there to to the station to get some money orders, and I dropped the money order off in the drop box, and I have receipts of that, and I paid the rent double, and I paid late fees, which I don't know why I did that, but I still paid it. Probably because they said we owed for July, that was paid the month after July, so we paid that, you know. So hey, they said we owed for July, we paid that double, you know. So I don't know, bro. I don't know, fam. I did my best to stand up for myself. And since I know it wasn't going well for me, I put in a vouch for the people that was here in this area. And it didn't go well. So if y'all know who I am and y'all stay close to this area over here, y'all stay over here, and y'all follow me on YouTube, it ain't go right. You know, so I'm going to miss y'all. You know, if I had the opportunity to come and visit y'all, I will. I got good news, though, from another landlord, and I'll be checking that out. So I wouldn't advise nobody to stay in Florida. If you don't want to go broke, if you're a millionaire, you come to Florida, they can raise up their rent, surpass how much you make. So let's say you make, I'm gonna just try to be more realistic. Let's say you make 500K a month. All that gonna be gone. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but they can raise up the rent high as they want to. So just look that up. What happened in 1977? There is no cap on rent in Florida. So y'all be careful wherever y'all move. And Florida's not the only place where this is going on. And remember, black people was in the South. How did they get us out of LA? They just jacked up the rent, jacked up the prices, you know. How did they get some of y'all out of the places where y'all was staying in New York? They just jacked up the rent, jacked up the prices. What is that called, family? Something that they say ain't being done no more? Redlining. So this place is under gentrification. And if white people got to suffer for this right here to be done, hey, this is a majority, not a majority Negro part here. And a lot of Negroes don't stay here, but some of us do. So if you move to certain areas and you start seeing rent jacking up, like the whole state of Florida in a lot of places, I'm just telling y'all, you know, y'all better protect y'all income and put y'all money together and start buying your own plots of land so that you won't gentrify your own self out of a job. So I believe they have another plan for it, that they want to however you say it, gentrify everybody that's staying here out and bring in the people that's important to them in. Because the only one that can afford this stuff is the important people. So I guess for the rich, it's the waiting game. I'm gonna give y'all some advice, rich folk, that y'all probably already know. Wait till they move out all of the people that they never get paid reparations or anything. Wait till they move us out. And once they get us out the way, then they have it all set, and then y'all can come on in, and I guarantee you they'll stop the gentrification. And then they'll start doing that to some other poor communities or poor state where a lot of people stay that done been through the transatlantic slave trade. So, hey, that's all I want to say to y'all. And I didn't give that advice to be nice. I gave that advice actually to speak something. Because that's what people doing anyway. You're going to move the pole out. That's what they're doing anyway. And I'm going to say it like that so that people can understand this is something that you need to believe because it's the truth. You cannot take over the forest if the forest got laws. First, you study the forest. This is what they did. They studied our situation. We said our issues. They ignored our pleas, and then they came in like a lion and amped it up. And this is something that you got to deal with. So until we learn how to come together, we're going to continue to deal with this. I could give all of my income to a company that's got a black face on it, but if that person don't own that company, they could get fired for trying to do what a nation's supposed to do that done been through what we been through with. So, if you find a brother or a sister that owns their stuff and you supporting them and they building up housing or something for you, like our pastor did, that I'm gonna look into, then maybe y'all need to really, support one another. When you support your brother and sister, you're actually supporting yourself. And I know that pastor, I haven't seen him being crooked, so once we get situated in this area, then y'all willing will move this way and that way. And I'm not gonna let my left hand know what my right hand do, or how it's gonna be done. But I am letting y'all know that y'all need to pull together wherever you at. Don't wait on one brother or two sisters or three. Y'all pull y'all income together. Y'all can do more with y'all income than y'all realize. How many of y'all that may be getting evicted right now that got income and y'all can put y'all money together and purchase land? Is we gonna do it? Or is we just gonna know it's something good that we could do and we just ain't gonna do it because we're afraid? I know some land right now that'll fit more than one person on there. Once we pay that, only thing we have to do, if they charge us taxes on the land, which they will, is pay that every month. And it's not gonna be like what y'all think. So fam, let's just come together and think about some of these things now. Let's think about this. Why would you have people stand in a position, never pay them reparations, and try to shame them? Never pay them any repair, but they paid Japan for the damage that they did to Japan. They paid the people that left from Germany and different places in Europe. They gave them money for something they didn't even have nothing to do with, because they said that they're their strongest allies. They paid them they paid them. All the people that they still working on paying other places that just now been hit. But for you, like Elder Malcolm, like Elder Farrakhan said, but the nigga is still waiting. The Negro done fought in every war that they had to get everybody else up on their feet. The Negro done march and everybody getting rights. But the Negro. But the Negro. Family, remember what we be saying all the time. We need to come together. Let's stop talking and let's start walking. Unless we as a nation is willing to walk together, if somebody ain't willing to walk together, then nobody no need to be talking. All of us that got a heart that really want to do something, that really would put our foot down on the land and say, let's do this together, that's the ones that need to talk. But the ones that just want to complain and not do nothing, family, we wasting our time. You're wasting your time if all you're going to do is talk. We say, I wish I could have this gas station, this, and that, and other. But if you don't do it yourself, you at the mercy of another man or a woman, even if they look like you. They're not working to build on your team, and they're working to make sure that the status quo stay the status quo because they're afraid and they don't want to be like Abraham over there in Africa. Then we just gonna keep going through the same thing. Alright fam, I'm about to get up off of here, but I just want to drop by and let y'all know It ain't go well. But that don't mean that that's all that it is. Shalom. Thank you for coming.
Yai Quab on the track.
Hands on the plow, Yahweh Shai, coming back, man in the cloud. He is gullah people on the four corner. Must have sinned, but the dead got to pay first. We got a warning from the Father made long time ago. Being marked by the nations everywhere we go. Nothing left but a promise from the Father and the Son. Eat the breadcrumbs, sloppy dogs, but we out your proud with a broken soul and the spirit. Father, heal it. Man, I favor hope over every adversary. I got